a band of adventurers pauses their journey to rest. They use the frigid night as an opportunity to drink something warm. Meanwhile, an eerie disturbance stirs within the forest, yet the group remains oblivious. Only one member seems to sense something amiss. His coffee ripples with a trembling ground. A warning rings out an enemy approaches. A colossal serpent slithers closer. Orders are issued immediately. Every member of the extermination squad must ready themselves for combat. This marks the first appearance of a legendary ranked monster in their world. The beast unleashes a fear-inducing mental assault on the team. To maintain unity, the leader commands them to stay composed and hold formation. A notification confirms the group successfully resisted the terror. This is the elite extermination squad, comprised of the finest players, and our protagonist stands among them. With support from the buffers, he activates his abilities. Strangely, though, he's only level 1, yet he's prepared to fight. Without hesitation, he lunges at the creature. The collision triggers a violent eruption of energy. Troy Hanung, 26 years old, takes a break from work. 3 years ago, he was nothing more than an ordinary student. His father developed an incurable condition known as Manhwa reflux syndrome. This affliction emerged after the interdimensional portals appeared. Since then, humanity has confronted countless new trials. The greatest among them is the awakening of magical abilities in certain individuals. Though it may seem like a blessing to many, it also carries a curse. Through those portals came waves of monsters that devastated humanity, and untreatable diseases began to surface. However, the players who awakened their powers became humanity's salvation. Valuable items started dropping from defeated monsters. Because of this, these players amassed tremendous wealth. For our protagonist, though, the portals brought nothing but misfortune. The illness that struck his father originated from an exceptionally rare monster, and the treatment cost was astronomical. His mother took on 2 jobs. His sister exhausted all her wedding savings and picked up part-time work. Financial strain became unavoidable. The protagonist believes this burden wouldn't exist if he had awakened his powers. Troy Hanung could crush massive boulders with his bare hands and leap higher than buildings. All he ever desired was to become a player. Troy Hansung returns home from work and collapses onto his bed. They say players earn unimaginable sums of money, yet no one understands how awakening happens. It's like winning the lottery. He's convinced it's impossible for him. Still, he yearns to become one. Now, being a player isn't about dreams, it's about survival. If it were simple, everyone would transform. Dismissing those thoughts, he decides to shower. Suddenly, the environment shifts. A HUD screen materializes before him. The message declares he has awakened. Troy Kunsung recalls hearing about someone who suffered a heart attack after winning the lottery. He issues the status window command, hoping his stat points are strong. What he sees, however, is bizarre. His points should all be at least 10, yet that's not the case. These things depend on luck, but it appears he'll face difficulty ahead. Joy quickly turns to despair. Even at the lowest level, the total of all attributes should reach at least 40. Choi Kansung tallies everything he possesses. The sum comes to 18 attribute points. The average among other players is 50. For some reason, his total is drastically low. The only silver lining is that every time he levels up, he gains 5 additional points. To reach even a basic player's standard, he'll have to grind through countless levels. Worse still, he lacks any passive or active skills. Even low-level players would be valued if they possessed decent skills. Guilds would compete fiercely for them. 99% of players begin by choosing tank, warrior, or healer classes. One girl, however, was different. Kim Hana has been supported by high-level players since her youth thanks to her unique abilities. She's Korea's only buffer. Conversely, many players can't advance past the early levels. Even so, Troy has never heard of anyone without a single skill in the past 19 years. Troy Khan grows curious about what he's looking at, though he already suspects it won't be valuable. A lengthy list unfolds before him. At the top sits a rare elven sword. Examining closely, he notices other weapons of similar rank. He thinks it's impressive, but they appear to carry high value. He wonders if there's a method to convert them into regular currency. Apparently, he has 2 billion points to spend. Perhaps he can utilize that value within the system. Additionally, he discovers legendary rank weapons. He didn't even know such items existed. The public had only ever heard of heroic level equipment at best. Choi Kung selects one as an example. The Demon King's staff has no information available. It also states the weapon cannot be acquired by normal ranked players. For some reason, his points don't count toward that category. Moreover, there's a locked item 1 tier above heroic rank. Hyun scrolls to the bottom and finds an elixir. They say this medicine can cure any disease. It seems the system wants him to engage in trade. Normally, wealthy individuals are more interested in tanking skills, so he decides to explore those options. He finds an attribute boosting potion. These items pique his interest. Perhaps it's worth purchasing them to resell later. If planned strategically, he could become seriously overpowered. The item is a tiny red stone. It's amusing to think you're supposed to consume it. When he swallows the item, his muscles contract instantly. Though it only increases power by 1, the sensation is far more intense. Afterward, he purchases a skill book that reduces mana consumption by 10%. The problem now is determining where to store it. Troy Hunsung decides to register it on the sales tab. He discovers the system takes 20% of everything sold. Though he feels it's a rip-off, he knows there's no alternative. It's time to begin his plan. First, he'll start by acquiring more strength-boosting items. After some time passes, his desk overflows with stat gems. Later, at the Hero Association, a receptionist asks how she can assist. He explains he came to register because he awakened. The woman finds it peculiar. She asks if he genuinely managed to awaken. Hanong finds the comment strange. She explains that no one his age has ever awakened this late. He doesn't understand what she means. That's when he catches his reflection. His image, inexplicably, is that of an elderly man. A security guard attempts to help the old man lying on the floor. Troy Hun realizes nothing in this world comes without cost. He opens his window. That's when he notices his points are dropping. Apparently, those are his life expectancy points. He's at home now, contemplating everything that occurred. Doing quick calculations, he realizes he only has approximately a year and a half to live. He needs to figure out how to earn more points. An idea strikes him sell his belongings. Toys selects his Nintendo. First, he tests the console. The screen prompts him to place the video game into the floating image. When he touches the console to it, it vanishes. At that moment, the Nintendo appears for sale in the system. Apparently, it worked. With those specifications, he'd probably only get around $60 for it online. He decides to try his luck and sets a much higher price, hoping the 40 games inside will justify it. The Nintendo is successfully registered. Now, Cho Hunsung wonders if he should list more items. A girl in a room filled with treasures is frustrated. Every day, the same things appear in the shop. She thinks there should be more competition. At that moment, a new item appears. Without hesitation, she rushes to purchase it. Troy Hansang is finally returning to normal. This proves those points were tied to his lifespan. It also means he can recover them whenever necessary. The current mystery is that the girl doesn't know what to do with these objects. She examines a watch curiously, noticing the numbers change on their own. She doesn't understand why it's classified as rare, but she's convinced. Another screen appears asking for mobile data. Apparently, she's never used a cell phone either. Even after exploring, she can't connect to the internet. She has no idea how this device functions. After fiddling with it more, she discovers something interesting: mirror magic. In the video functions, she finds something amusing and decides to press the button. What she sees surprises her. In the video, there's an effect that places a hat on her head. She considers for a moment whether to do what she's thinking. The girl takes a selfie. Apparently, she likes it because she goes back and takes more photos. The one who's unhappy is the demon woman. She wanted to buy all the items, but someone stole that opportunity. Now the problem is figuring out what these things are for. She even uses magic to search for clues, but nothing happens. Even after turning on the video game, she doesn't sense anything magical emanating from it. Without realizing it, the girl ends up playing for hours until she sees the game over screen. Unfortunately, she's not even slightly pleased. She explodes in rage for losing again. In the city, Choi Kung stands before a car. He can't list the vehicle for sale because only items belonging to the player can be sold. Frustrated, he ends up leaving. Along the way, he spots some things lying on the ground. For some reason, he's able to list a broken fan for sale. Perhaps only specific items work. There's also a limit of 10 items that can be listed at once. Choi Kung opens the sales menu. In the end, he has fewer points than when he started. Unfortunately, things are going poorly. No one is buying anything from him. A new notice arrives. The message states a complaint was filed under Choi Hyun-sung's name, reporting issues with the products he sold. If it happens again, he'll be banned. This is something he didn't anticipate. Choi Hyun-sung had no idea this kind of system existed. His priority now is to lower the prices as quickly as possible. That's when a notification arrives saying all listed items have been sold. The panic about no one buying vanishes instantly. He decides to raise the prices even higher. Again, a complaint arrives. The message says 70% of the items were considered defective. His account may be suspended temporarily until it's resolved. Apparently, the messages are about the cell phone that shut off without explanation. That person doesn't know you have to recharge the devices. Other messages keep arriving about cigarettes, beer, and everyday items the person doesn't understand how to use. They're threatening him if he doesn't replace them. Shorty Cumans doesn't even have time to respond before more threatening messages arrive. As a result, his store privileges are suspended for 3 days. If he doesn't fix these complaints, he'll be inactive for 3 months. He's thinking of first sending a new cell phone with a charger. Yam even considered his customers might not be from Earth, which would explain why they don't know how things work. Choi Hyun-sung starts to consider they might be aliens. Perhaps selling more electronic devices is a smart idea. He visits an online store. The item prices are very cheap, but it looks like Choi Hansen doesn't have enough money. Looking into his pocket, he only has a few coins. He even considers selling his skill book since he's out of options. That's when an idea strikes him. He taps on his phone. Time begins to pass. At the construction site, the workers can't believe what they're witnessing. Choi Kum-sung is carrying 3 bags of cement on his own without any difficulty. He even receives compliments for it. One worker asks where he used to work. He replies awkwardly that he's just used to it. 3 days pass. Only 9 seconds remain before the suspension ends. Kai Hansen can barely wait. The restriction is finally lifted. It's time to list new items for sale. At that exact moment, a new complaint is registered. He's visibly nervous. Before he can read the complaint, another message appears. Of the 20 items sold, all receive complaints. He's once again suspended for another 3 days. In other words, someone filed a complaint for each product. One message is from someone complaining about a video game that stopped working. Now the owner is so furious they're willing to hunt him down. More messages from the same person start arriving one after another, demanding he list new items or replace the broken ones. Choi Kun-sung doesn't even have time to react. Once again, he's suspended for 3 days. If he doesn't resolve this quickly, the suspension will extend to 3 months. He's determined not to let that happen. At the construction site, people still can't believe a young man can be that strong. 3 days later, with payment in hand and several boxes neatly packed, He's thinking the person doing this to him is definitely an out-of-control buyer. He plans to list a pair of batteries for sale. His account is finally unlocked. Quickly, he puts his item up for sale. Instantly, it's sold. First comes a notice that 14 complaints have been resolved. Soon after, 4 more disappear as well. His points rapidly start rising. Troy Hanung celebrates his success. Now that everything worked out, he's already thinking about listing more phones or consoles. But before that, there's something else to do. Perhaps it's time to register as a player. For a registration card to be issued, a person must complete a 3-week course at a training school. If they fail, they can try again. If the same person fails twice, they lose the right to register. Just because someone awakened doesn't mean they'll automatically become a dungeon hunting player. Troy Kun passes the test without any problems. He's applauded for getting through it easily. One of the players thinks he shouldn't be allowed to graduate since he doesn't even have a skill. A girl thinks it's cruel to say that, but the guy doesn't care. Troy Hanum already knew things like this would happen. 3 weeks later, he's leaving the school. A group from his class invites him to celebrate with them. One guy suggests they should go out drinking together, but he says he needs to go home for personal reasons. The group seems disappointed, but Choi Hansen doesn't mind since they'll probably never see each other again. The receptionist announces his card has been issued. He's very pleased. He finally has his hero license. Now he can sell his skill book. If he starts hunting with the money he earns, he'll soon be able to cure his father. At the equipment rental shop, Shu Hansen makes a large purchase, paying with his credit card. The clerk warns that if the return period is exceeded, a penalty will be charged. Aside from that, he wishes him good luck. Unfortunately, everything in this world costs a fortune. Renting even basic equipment turned out to be expensive. Without it, the guild won't let him near a dungeon. Let's not forget there's also an entry fee for each mission. In a plaza, some groups are announcing they're looking for members to join their parties. One promises to cover dungeon fees and ensure safety. Demand is very high for tanks and healers, which makes sense. Even if the dungeon level is low, a monster is still a monster. On his status window, it's clear he's greatly improved his attributes. His unique skill is item buying and selling. With those stats, he could join any group, but that's not his goal. His plan is to hunt rabbits alone and pretend he earned the special ability he actually bought. Troy Kunsung heads to one of the portals. A staff member asks if he's really going in alone. He confirms he is. After that, his passage is approved. He knows the man is probably judging him for entering a dungeon without a group since not even experienced players do that. The truth is, this is serious business, it's dangerous. People can lose their lives in battle. Even one of the guards questions how anyone has the nerve to do that. The man says arrogant people need to learn things the hard way. Choi Hansen finally steps through the portal. He's officially inside a dungeon now. The environment is a dark cave illuminated only by torches. Right at the beginning, he spots someone. A group is fighting a horned rabbit. He definitely didn't expect a creature of that size. To start, Troy Hansen decides to just observe. The group leader calls for a provocation. The creature charges at his shield-bearing ally. For a moment, it looks like he can hold it off, but his defense goes flying. One of them calls for the whole group to attack. Despite taking a 3-month course, all these people were just regular folks not long ago. That's why it's nearly impossible for someone like that to hunt a monster. After receiving a heal, the tank gets back up. The rabbit takes a direct hit to the face. At that moment, the group tries to take advantage of the opening. Shai Khan realizes he underestimated the dungeon just because it was low level. One of the warriors tries a lucky strike. The rabbit even tries to defend itself, but it's useless. Luckily, the sword hits its target. At last, the monster falls defeated. 20 Young notes the fight took them 8 minutes, while other groups took at least 3. Meanwhile, the guards don't pay any attention to what's happening. Their badges show they're security officers. Apparently, they only care if someone's in a life-threatening situation. That means he doesn't have to worry about them. His attributes are more than sufficient to play solo. Troy Hanong activates stealth mode. His body nearly vanishes into the darkness. A group congratulates some other players. They are the assistant and healer from Guild Number 1, Sue. To encourage her, the healer tells her partner they'll definitely find what they're looking for. The assistant smiles, comforted by the support. The other assistants say if they spot anything, they'll report immediately. The girl only thanks them out of politeness. They say her skills are more than enough to capture what she's seeking. The assistant doesn't seem to fully agree. Both apologize simultaneously. It seems the girls are worried because they've been hunting for 15 days already. What the assistant wants is to advance to the 4th class. To do that, she has to find the horned rabbit's boss. Even though it's a weak monster, it's hiding exceptionally well. Still, the moment it appears, she promises to finish it instantly. The two activate their shadow cloaks and move deeper into the dungeon. June asks if her partner has heard the rumors. She says the leader of Team 3 and the support from Team 2 are at the supply warehouse. Before she can continue gossiping, both spot something in the darkness. Someone is walking among the shadows. Annie says she was going to pretend she saw nothing, but now she sees it too. Tasun wonders if the boy came alone or got separated from his group. The assistant takes a good look at the adventurer. She assumes it's not the second option because he doesn't have a single scratch. The mystery remains, why is he alone? Anonymous notices something even more surprising. The boy is wearing rental equipment. He's just a rookie wandering around alone. Both assume he's an idiot. To hunt one of those alone, a person should be at least level 35. In a second, they swallow their words. With one blow, Choi Hansen takes down the rabbit. He's shaking. He didn't like the feeling, but it's necessary for his family. That wasn't the first one. He's hunted many already, but still hasn't gotten any items. He activates stealth mode again and strikes another rabbit from behind. Again, he seems to dislike the feeling. The girls are confused. June sees her partner is tense. Anna is deep in thought. She's remembering the rule of 20 levels. When someone hunts a monster close to their level, they can get a normal amount of experience and items. But if you hunt a creature 20 levels below, you gain nothing. In other words, the odds of not getting a single item are massive. That's why Annie believes this must be his first time here. June asks if her partner knows him. She doesn't know who the guy is either. Still, at the moment, she just wants to watch him a little longer. After all, she has nothing else to do. Troy Hanung activates sudden ambush. It seems he got lucky. A gem finally drops. It's the 5th one he's managed to get, but he never imagined leveling up would be this difficult. After defeating so many monsters, he expected to have leveled up by now. It would be easier if there was an experience bar like in video games. He hopes one more hour might be enough. 5 hours later, he's still at the same level. Something is definitely wrong. Normally, a person takes at most 2 days to level up. Indeed, he realizes something isn't right. June comments that the atmosphere feels heavy. Troy Cunnin is very disappointed. In the past 10 days, he earned over 100 million points. After a full day of hunting, he only earned 100 points total. Despite that, he wants to stay optimistic. One of the rabbits tries to attack him from behind. He finishes it with a single strike. Croy Hansen stands up, ready for the next round. A group of rabbits comes toward him. He prepares for the next attack. With one strike, he cuts down all the monsters at once. He already seems tired. One of the rabbits jumps on him. With a simple move, he cuts the monster down. After that, he receives a new message. He earns the title of Rabbit Hunter for having defeated 100 of those monsters alone. Choick takes a break to analyze the change. The title he earned now appears in his status window. Because of it, he gains 2 unique attributes: an increase in vitality and a chance to rank up to rare. This title is common, and in theory, anyone can earn it. But people usually level up before it happens, so almost no one ever gets this title. It's not bad at all to be able to rank up to rare because of it. Annie is having a lot of fun. She's happy to have caught a big fish. The assistant saw with her own eyes that he struck a rabbit's throat with a single attack. It could have been luck, but she saw him do it several times. When he was surrounded, he managed to defeat the monsters with one blow. She really wants to recruit him. He wonders if he should go deeper into the dungeon. Choi Hyun-sung hears two people calling out to him. He sees two players wearing custom outfits and high-grade armor. Jun says he doesn't need to be tense. They're security officers. He doesn't seem to believe it. After all, he didn't see any badges and hadn't sensed their presence either. Jun explains they were given a mission to protect the inside of the portal. They were on their way out. Because both were using stealth skills, that's why he didn't sense them. He hadn't even heard them breathe, let alone approach. The girl says she decided to come over because she thought his skills were too good to be wasted on hunting rabbits. Since he's level 1, he worries about being found out. Choi Hyun-sung asks if he's required to show them anything. The assistant says no. She's just curious since they're from the Siu Guild. He recognizes the name. They're one of the biggest groups in Korea. She says she'll help him get into the group. He only needs to show his status window. He's in a tough spot because he has a penalty preventing him from leveling up. Kai Hansen believes a player with stats like his will be considered suspicious. No matter how much he hunts, his level doesn't go up. He says he has no intention of joining a guild. Then he turns his back on her. Annie tries to stop him from leaving. He seems startled by her reaction. The girl curiously asks if he doesn't know who the Siwa Guild is. He says yes, he knows who they are. She wants to know why he still refuses to join. He explains he doesn't like being tied to anyone and doesn't need a guild right now. She even asks if he's already with another team. He keeps denying it, saying he prefers to be alone. Apparently, the two girls are convinced by his answer. Hansung says goodbye to them. Still, Annie gives him her card in case he changes his mind. He accepts it and decides to leave. Before that, she asks if they can leave the dungeon together. She says it would make things easier for everyone. Again, he refuses any contact with other players. Annie finds his behavior very rude. Her friend says he may act like that for now, but one day he'll regret it. Before anything else happens, the girls decide to leave. Back on the surface, he comments that he needs to be more cautious. Then something catches his attention. They still haven't left the dungeon. Choi Hyun-sung heads to a taxi stand. Inside the vehicle, the driver asks where he wants to go. He simply asks him to drive. Choi Hyun-sung checks the route on his phone. He asks the driver to take him to the Blood Fox dungeon. The taxi driver congratulates him, saying he transports so many players that he knows all the routes by heart. He ends up ignoring everything the man says. All he can think about is that his status will likely remain the same in the new dungeon. In this new area, things are quite similar. Crowds of people looking for members for their parties. The atmosphere is the same here. Just like last time, he heads to the gate. When it's time to be cleared, the attendant asks where his party is. Choi Hansen once again says he's alone. That's how he enters the dungeon. Inside, there's a fang-toothed fox. A group of players surrounds a creature. Choi Konung simply observes. He also notices something similar to the previous dungeon. The guards don't care at all about what's happening. He takes advantage and activates his stealth. With that, he reaches the lower floor. He draws his sword, ready to fight. He's confident this time it will work out. Humans charges at the creature. He sees that one of them gives 180 points. He swings his sword, ready to end the fight quickly. With one move, the foxes are already lifeless. He notices something. More foxes are approaching. Little by little, he's being surrounded. He wonders if he'll have to take this fight seriously. 2 hours later, he realizes his count is at 299. With 13 foxes defeated, Choi Hun earns a new title just like last time. He was already expecting it. He asks to see his status window. In the end, his level remains the same, but his strength increased by +1. Apparently, each title gives something different. He's already being surrounded by a large group of foxes. Ki-hanung is ready to begin the second part of his experiment. 7 hours after the fight, he opens his window. He's earned a rare title and receives the name Blood Fox Predator. This time, he's happy to have increased his rank. In addition to gaining another +1 in strength, he discovers that above rare is the heroic rank. Tui-hanung stops to rest, but he wants to come back the next day. He stores the gems in his bag before leaving. On the way, he finds something, a skill book. With the skill, the body hardens. A warning says he already knows this skill, so the book can't be purchased. He's disappointed by this. He decides to list it for sale at an absurd price as usual. He also ends up buying another book instead. Finally, he returns to the surface. The dungeon receptionist asks him to place any acquired items into the basket. He places the skill book and his bag. Right after, the man inspects them. When he sees the number of magic stones, he's shocked. He's even more impressed when he sees the rare skill book. He asks if there's a problem. At the base, the magic stones are scanned. The total value is equivalent to 39,000 rei. Once the books are sold, the company will contact him. Satisfied, he leaves. At this pace, he estimates he can earn at least 1 million won per day. It really is good to be a player. The next day, he takes a break to eat. He wonders if it would be better to rent a room near the dungeon since his home is very far. What matters is that today, he'll level up his title. Inside the cave, another fox meets the same unfortunate fate. Without difficulty, he takes down another creature. With that, he unlocks a heroic achievement for defeating 5,000 foxes alone. A new message says he's the first person to earn a heroic ranked title. He didn't expect to be the first to do it. Though he feels like he cheated in a way, it's also a good thing. In the status window, it shows his points shoot up to a total of 100. All attributes increase by at least +20. Choi Kun also discovers something new. It's possible to rank up a title to legendary. He wonders if it's worth trying, but not today. For now, he's tired. He promises to return tomorrow. 10 days later, he's rented a hotel and is eating. In the dungeon, he defeats another group of foxes. With that, a new achievement is unlocked. Finally, the legendary rank has been achieved. Choi Kun collapses from exhaustion. On the screen, another major leap. Every attribute increased by 40 points. He can't hold back his laughter. He's very pleased with himself. Just to check, this is the maximum a title can go. Unfortunately, because he wanted even more, Khan gets ready to leave without worrying much since there are other places where he can do the same thing. Back in the rabbit dungeon, Chi-hanung is fighting a group of monsters. One tries to attack him from behind. He pushes it with the hilt of his sword. That alone is enough to slam it into the wall. Apparently, he's reached a level where he can defeat these creatures with his bare hands. For today, that's enough. At the hotel, Shai Kansen receives a message saying the items he listed have been sold, but he must collect the payment in person. He decides to stop by the auction house. The receptionist asks him to check if all the documentation is correct before signing. That's when he has the shocking realization that the auction house charges a 42% fee on each item sold. Even he can't believe it. He decides to stop selling his books through them. He knows he needs to hunt smart. He already earned 10 million just for magic stones. It wouldn't be impossible to raise that to 1 billion. His online sales are going well. If he keeps up this pace, he'll be able to buy his elixir faster than expected. Walking down the street, Choi Hansen notices his appearance. Since his father collapsed, he hasn't bought a single piece of clothing. He, like his family, simply couldn't afford it. But that's going to end today. At a factory, a group works on assembling parts. At 7 o'clock, the shift ends. The leader thanks everyone for their hard work. Some workers say goodbye to a woman who leaves alone. Cho-hun calls out to his mother. She's very happy to see her son. When he hugs her, he realizes how thin she is. His mother asks the reason for the visit. He says he just came to see her. Apparently, the woman is happy to hear that. Like every mom, she asks if her boy has already had dinner. He says no because he wants to eat with her. However, she says she can't because she has to head to her second job at a restaurant. She pulls some money from her pocket, puts it in his hand, and asks him to buy himself something to eat. Choi-hun knows she hasn't eaten either. That's why he wants her to come with him. She says she only eats when she's working at the restaurant. He even offers to help her, but of course, his mother refuses. He decides to come clean. Finally, he tells her he awakened. His mother seems really shocked. She even asks him to repeat what he just said. Toys shows her his hero license and says he's become a player. Now she can stop working at the restaurant. The first thing she says is that it's dangerous. He says he's careful, but what matters is she doesn't need to work there anymore. She refuses, saying being a player isn't a guarantee of income. She's heard that in the beginning, you spend more than you earn. Troy Kansom agrees with her. He shows her how much he made. She opens the document and sees her son earned 1 billion yen. With that money, he hopes she'll stop working, pay the hospital bills, and they can live more comfortably. She starts crying immediately. Shai-kan asks her to stop since his parents took care of him all his life. Now it's their turn to rest. His mother can only say thank you. Later, she introduces her son to the staff at the restaurant. He even helps wash the dishes to lend a hand, which helps everyone finish work earlier that night. At the end of the evening, they say goodbye and go home together. His sister welcomes their mother home, but it's Cho Hunson who responds, happy to see her. The girl doesn't understand why he showed up out of nowhere. He promises it's for a good reason. The three of them sit together on the living room floor. He says he awakened. On top of that, he made a good amount of money. His sister watches as the earnings grow day by day until it reaches 1 billion. She can hardly believe what she's seeing. Troy Kunsung promises that from now on, they won't have to work so hard. His sister can't hold back her tears. She admits things have been really tough lately. That day, Troy Kun went to sleep with a smile on his face. He says he's heading out. His mother asks what time he'll be back. He says he'll only come back when she quits her job. His mother worries about him going out in those regular clothes. He says he can pick up equipment near the dungeons. With that, he says goodbye and heads off to the next mission. His mother tries to call her son, but the calls go straight to voicemail. She hopes he hasn't gotten hurt. At that moment, Troy Kansom appears running. He explains there was heavy traffic, so he came on foot. His mother gives him a light smack on the head since she was worried. In the hospital room lies his father. Seeing him in that condition, Choi Kanson vows to heal him. 10 days later, he earns the title legendary for hunting 10,000 rabbits. On his watch, he sees it's still early. He has a few hours left to hunt. The taxi drops him off at the next dungeon. Unlike the others, there's no one here. The sign says this is the Vampire Bat Dungeon, recommended for those between levels 10 and 15. He heard they're normal size and only move in flocks. Normally, hunting them without a full party would be difficult. Choi Kansung crosses the portal with stealth mode activated. The guards chatting nearby didn't even notice him passing. He finds this situation strange, but he's ready to begin the hunt. With that, he activates a shield around himself to lure the bats into attacking. He pricks his own finger. The moment they catch the scent, the creatures charge. He feels as if the darkness itself is rushing toward him. A dark mass of shadow and wings moves as one uncovers him. Inside the shield, he activates a fireball spell. The light reveals the bats desperately trying to break through the barrier. The weak flame also shows he's struggling to use two skills at once. He focuses to intensify the flame. A dungeon with such tiny creatures is causing quite a bit of trouble. In the end, that's the best he can do with his fire magic in this situation. The fireball passes through the barrier, triggering an explosion in the cave. The impact is so strong that all the bats are wiped out at once. The barrier ends up cracked. Even the caster hadn't expected it to be like that. Before he can celebrate, a new wave of bats comes flying at him. Troy Hunnam is already preparing another fire spell. The bats charge at him full speed. He throws the fireball at them. Right after, he receives a notification for a new achievement. If all goes well, he might even earn the legendary one today. More important is finding out how many magic stones he can collect. In the darkness, he sees something strange. Amidst the shadows lies a sword shaped like a bat. Even he didn't expect this. Apparently, the mana from all those bats formed this weapon. Troy Hunnam picks up the sword from the ground. He receives a message saying the weapon has a passive ability that allows the user to regain health when the sword absorbs the enemy's energy. He ends up liking this effect quite a bit. What's most important to him is wondering whether it's possible to obtain more than one of these blades. He discovered that even if the monsters are weak, if a bunch of them dies at once, their mana can combine to create a rare item. So imagine if a bunch of rare monsters were defeated at once. A week later, he realizes it might not be that easy after all. Only the usual gems dropped on the ground. After the blade, the mana only fused one more time. The item is in his bag, a black cloak with decent durability. It's rare only in name. He decides to stop this hunt. It's better to go to another dungeon and collect other titles. A few days later, his mother asks if he's doing okay since they're spending a lot of money to buy a house. He promises not to overdo it. When the customers walk in, the attendant greets them. Choi Kung says they spoke on the phone. The attendant recalls he's looking for a 1,000 square meter apartment. His mother thinks that's excessive. Still, he says he wants to give each of them their own room. A week later, his sister finds the apartment huge. It's the first time she's seen the new house. The girl gets really excited. He promises the next house will be even bigger. For her, it's already perfect. Their mother cooks the first meal in the new home. His sister says they need to bring welcome rice cakes to the neighbors. His mother thinks it's a good idea. Troy Kunsung sees this moment and finds it really nice. He hopes his father can be there next time. He'll make sure that happens. Now, it's the Crimson Rat dungeon for players level 6 to 10. The rats prepare to attack. He jumps to dodge their strike. In midair, he finds the scene somewhat amusing. Then he pushes off the cage walls. These rats are faster than he expected. With one move, 2 of them go down. In the end, he's on another level. He summons a fireball, ready to earn a few more titles. Once again, at the exit, his bag is full of diamonds. The person in charge of inspection can barely believe what they're seeing. Troy Kansen just waves goodbye to the man, all smiles. Before he can leave, a voice calls his name. The woman says they've met before, but this time she insists on properly introducing herself. Her name is Lee Shuddy. She's an assistant from Team 1 of the Siwon Guild. She asks for a moment to talk. 1 week earlier, the manager is desperate to find out who's been giving him such a headache. Lee says she doesn't know anything either. The guild master reviewed Choi Hunsung's profile. He guesses he must already be getting rich from all the magic stones he's been selling. The girl doesn't believe that means he has a unique ability. Still, the guild master thinks the chances are high. That's why he wants this kid on his team. Of course, Lee agrees. He'll set a negotiation specialist to help. She can try convincing the boy first since she was the one who found him. Before leaving, he has one more question. The guild leader wants to know if Lee leaked this information to anyone else in the guild. The girl says no. She even made sure her friend stayed quiet. With that, he trusts his assistant's word. He starts wondering how he was found. That's when he remembers the contact card he received. Of course, that makes him irritated. He immediately begins questioning the woman, wanting to know how she found him or how they know his name. He suspects they were also looking into his background. Taking that cue, the negotiation specialist introduces himself and asks if they can talk more calmly. Choi Hunan just dismisses him and walks away. The man seems out of options. He asks if he can visit him at his home instead. Those words catch him off guard. The man says he waited outside out of respect. His name is Go Jinsun. He says he's the recruitment manager of the Seiwon Guild. Choi Hun asks what they want. Go says it's obvious they want to recruit him. He replies he has absolutely no interest in joining a guild. The recruiter knows that. He apologizes if he's come off as pushy. He explains that most guilds are actually far more persistent and much less polite when trying to recruit someone. Still, nothing he's saying seems to have any effect on him. On top of that, he talks too fast. Troy Hansen cuts him off. He says he wants to know how much the signing bonus is and what the annual salary would be. Go says that depends on the person's level and attributes. At that point, he realizes they're starting to reveal their cards. The recruiter promises that at the very least, he'll secure a signing bonus of 100 million and an annual salary of 10 million. He's surprised. Even if they're underestimating him, they're still offering a lot. Perhaps they want him as their main player. It still doesn't make much sense since he's never heard of a guild offering that much money to a rookie. Except, of course, for the country's one and only buff, Kim Hana, who had already proven her worth to the world, which isn't the case for Cho Hansen. He does have his unique buy and sell ability, but they definitely don't know that. When he got his player card, he made sure to only reveal his level. That's when he realizes what's really going on. Hansung asks if all of this is because of the magic stones. The recruiter says he doesn't know what he's talking about. It was just for a second, but Lee reacted. You can tell the recruiter really has no idea what he's talking about. She, on the other hand, is doing a poor job of hiding it. It's not like a major guild would be chasing after someone just for magic stones. They probably already suspect he has a unique ability. The recruiter wants to know what he's thinking. After all, he has nothing to lose. Troy Hunsung starts by saying that showing his status window offers him no advantage, then adds that Go hasn't made any real promises yet. The recruiter says he'll promise everything once he sees his status. Toi Kung says he wants the 100 million bonus up front. He'll show them whatever they want and join the guild. Once again, the recruiter insists he needs to see the status window first. With that, he ends the conversation. Troy Hansung had already expected something like this to happen. Apparently, he's going to have to be more careful with the gems. He's drawn enough attention to be investigated. At that moment, he receives a call from an unknown number. Once again, it's the same recruiter. Cody Hansen immediately hangs up. He's running out of patience with them. Later at home, a new message arrives again. It's Go trying to talk to him about joining the guild. Out of patience, he picks up his phone and blocks the contact. Once more, Troy comes out hunting. Afterward, at the dungeon exit, he's being waited for. He completely ignores him. In another dungeon, the creatures are blue lizards. This group of monsters is defeated easily. He's already quite tired. The rate things are going, soon he'll be able to buy the elixir. The next dungeon is home to the red mane wolves, recommended for levels 15 to 20. This area, unlike the last one, is crowded, but not overly so. The giant wolves are under attack by a party of adventurers. A closer hero is sure these creatures are stronger than the lizards he fought. Even so, they'll go down in a single hit. He believes that with his current stats, he can defeat level 50 monsters. For today, he's aiming for the Wolf Hunter title. Deeper in the dungeon, a security badge is stained with blood. From the shadows, it's clear the man is being eaten alive. His level 71 partner can't believe what he's seeing. The creature he's facing is a two-headed dog. The player tries to help his friend. In a second, he loses his arm. The creature moves so fast he didn't even see what happened. In a desperate move, he tries to escape. With one attack, the player loses his life. He doesn't have to walk far to find people. Shy Kimong figures that since it's a popular dungeon, it's pretty crowded. He finds that very concerning. These portals started appearing 10 years ago. Even after the discovery of a heroic dungeon, a new one always shows up since new players awaken every year. A wolf leaps to attack. Cho Hansen beheads it in midair. Before he even lands, a group is already waiting for him. Quickly, he prepares a fireball. Effortlessly, he blows them all up with one strike. Another group is already getting ready to attack. He raises his shield. Instead, he punches the hound. Then he chains into a combo with a strike from his blade. Right after, he prepares to launch a magic missile attack, which instantly blows up one of the wolves. The pack and him stare each other down. He taunts them to come at him. Fearlessly, the wolves charge. He leaps over them. In the end, Troy Kason finishes the battle quickly and already earns his first title. He finds his blade's ability very useful. It looks like this area has already been cleared. Cho Hunan decides to move on. A small group is fighting some monsters. Crow Hunan just ignores them. Then he finds another group fighting as well. Since it's so crowded, he decides to head to another dungeon. Before that, he hears a desperate scream. When he turns around, he sees two players dying at the same time. He locks eyes with the giant creature. One female player tries to run away. She gets squashed like a fly. A piece of the girl flies through the air and lands at his feet. Seeing that, Croy Hansen feels like throwing up. The three-headed dog has wiped out the entire player party. Facing that massive hound for the first time, he's tense. With a swift movement, the dog tries to crush him. He dodges easily. For the first time, Troy Kung feels like his life is truly in danger. He hides behind a rock. The panther attacks exactly where he's hiding. Shai Kung hadn't expected his stealth to fail. He even jumps to escape. Even though the attack only grazes him, his armor is already destroyed. He's left with only his shirt and cloak. The giant panther attacks again. He jumps and slams his shield into the feline's nose, leaving the monster stunned. It doesn't turn out to be very effective. Choi Hansen drops his bag on the ground. He prepares his fire attack, launching 3 at once. This time, the monster seems to feel it. Choi Kansung grabs his things and tries to flee since his magic didn't deal as much damage as he hoped. This monster is seriously tough, though. This dungeon is meant for level 20 players. He fires off 2 more fireballs. He hits 2 heads at once. If he keeps this up, his mana will run out quickly. Even with the distraction, he takes a hit from behind. Luckily, Choi Kung survived. His cloak is much more durable than the rented equipment. The dog tries to pummel him, but it's in vain. He's afraid of running out of breath at this pace. Quickly, he opens his purchase system and finds a gem that boosts dexterity. In the middle of the chase, he manages to eat the gem. 20 minutes later, he's consumed enough. Now his total stats reach 849. With that, he throws a fireball. Half of the dog's face is scorched by the blast. On the first strike, he dodges. For the second, the panther uses its paw to block. Even so, the monster is injured. At this pace, he's going to win the fight quickly. The giant panther begins regenerating rapidly. Now, it's clear that fireballs won't be enough. Perhaps this won't be so easy after all. He discovered the monster is weak to fire, but he needs something stronger to handle this. As he runs, the giant hound chases him. He finds a skill he might be able to buy. The problem is it's expensive. He worries about his health, but right now he needs to survive. Choi Hun turns, ready to fight. He prepares to use his ability. The giant charges at him with full fury. Choi Hun prepares a fire spear, hoping to land the hit. This is the new flame ability. Luckily, the attack explodes right in the monster's face. He cheers that it worked. One of the heads explodes. Now only 2 remain. The second strike misses entirely. Choi Kanung doesn't lose focus. He challenges the beast to see who will survive this fight. The first spear misses the target. The second hits dead on, blowing up one of the panther's heads. He celebrates again, but the joy doesn't last long. He opens his status window and sees his mana is gone. His goal now is to survive until his energy is restored. Elsewhere, a girl screams in panic. All the players are evacuating the dungeon. Only the guards remain behind. What they're witnessing is a horrific scene left by the monster. One of them says he found a footprint. Judging by the size, the RP assumes the creature is not normal. The girl starts to wonder if it's really a good idea to go after this thing. One of the players doesn't like sitting around waiting for help, especially since the guards outside aren't responding. That means they too might have been taken by this creature. Even though they aren't very confident, the group leader still wants to investigate. One of them refuses to go any further. He doesn't want to die because of his job. The leader says he's worried other people might be in danger. Still, that player doesn't care about anyone else. That sparks a heated argument. The fight escalates to the point where both have to be separated. One of the players tries to remind them this isn't the time. In the battle, Shai Kumsung's mana isn't recovering fast enough. The monster shows no signs of tiring. On top of that, the heads are regenerating again. He needs to end the fight before it fully recovers. He prepares one more spear. If he misses, it's over. The two stare at each other for a long time. Then Troy Hansen decides to drop his weapon. Dragging this fight out any longer isn't good for him. He grips the fire spear tightly. It's time to settle the score. He feels like he's about to do something crazy. He pauses and takes a deep breath. He's ready for anything. The hound tries to crush him. It doesn't even come close. Before it knows it, Cho Hansung is in the air near the beast's head. The dove manages to dodge his attack, which causes some frustration. This time, it's Cerberus who strikes. He dodges just in time. The creature tries to take advantage and attack him midair. The protagonist pushes off a rock. Using the momentum, he hurls himself forward. He slashes with his spear. At first, it looks like he missed. When he lands, he celebrates. Even a grazing hit left a scar on the monster's face. Kung charges easily at his enemy. The monster tries to attack. It's effortlessly dodged. On top of that, he lands a hit on the creature, which cries out in pain. Seeking revenge, the dog tries to crush him again. Tori Hansen uses his speed and climbs onto its back. He thrusts the spear into the back of its neck. Then he jumps as high as he can and drives the fire spear downward. Not satisfied, he keeps pushing the weapon deeper. When there's nothing left above the neck, he believes he's finally won the fight. With that, Cerberus is dead or not, because a giant paw comes at him. He raises his shield, but it's useless. He's torn to pieces. The dog's face is already regenerating. Once again, he's cornered by the creature. No doubt about it, this is one stubborn beast. On top of that, his mana is nearly depleted. He gets ready for one final round. He attacks the half-formed face just as another paw comes down toward his neck. Choi Hun counters right away. In the end, he throws his spear, blowing up the other neck. Finally, the giant monster collapses lifeless. Choi Kung, with a burned hand and completely exhausted, gazes at his fallen enemy. At that moment, a new notification pops up. He earns a rare achievement for defeating the monster known as Gradon. Troy Kanung didn't know he was fighting an ant creature. Then another message appears. He wasn't expecting this one. He receives the title of Level Breaker for slaying a monster 100 levels above his own. He's happy with the 2 new achievements, though it took a massive effort. Suddenly, the monster's body begins to transform into mana, becoming a skill book. He walks over and picks the item up from the ground. The rare and unique skill grants the ability not to die as long as the head isn't destroyed, with all other wounds regenerating. As long as he protects his head, any attack can be healed. He's now almost immortal. Even if the regeneration is slow, he can still evolve this ability. He's never seen a rare skill for sale that can evolve like this one. Tanks would absolutely go crazy over this book. He gathers his things and gets ready to leave. He can't help but think there's no other skill like this in the world. It's one of a kind. A message asks if he would like to activate the power of immortality. Shokan accepts. A blue light begins to glow. As soon as his passive ability activates, he starts to regenerate. It seems this skill consumes vitality. Fortunately, he has plenty of that. Later, he checks the titles he earned. The first one boosts all attributes by 5. What excites him is that it's a common rank, which means he can improve that percentage. Now, with the other title, he gains +3 vitality. Choi Hansen considers Giardun to have been a good boy. Having wrapped everything up, he decides to head back. A team of players rushes in to hunt the monster. They are the extermination squad from the Player Association. One of the members announces he's found players. A girl in the group immediately identifies herself as part of the association. The adventurers are completely confused. The squad leader, Shinyana, says she heard a rumor about a high-level monster. That's why she asks everyone to evacuate. One girl is frightened. The leader confirms it's all true. Shin asks if any of the team members have already detected the creature. He says he can only sense the wolves. Suddenly, something changes. He says a player has been found. Shin wants to know where and how many. The answer is that it's just one person.